Antoinette Renee Frank. In 1995, a New Orleans police officer walked into a quiet Vietnamese restaurant and committed one of the most shocking crimes in the city's history. Her name was Antoinette Renee Frank. She joined the New Orleans Police Department in 1993, but she was hiding a dark past. As a child, she had been physically abused by her father. In 1993, she reported him missing. Years later, police discovered a human skull with a bullet hole buried under her house. On March 24, 1995, Antoinette and her accomplice, drug dealer Rogers Lacasse, entered the Kim An Vietnamese restaurant. Inside were Quang Vu and his sister Ha Vu, who ran the restaurant, along with off-duty NOPD officer Ron Williams, who was providing security that night. Without warning, Antoinette and Lacasse pulled out their guns and opened fire. They shot and killed all three: Quang Vu, Ha Vu, and Officer Ron Williams, Antoinette's own fellow police officer. 3 people were murdered in cold blood. But what happened next was truly chilling. After fleeing the scene, Antoinette returned to the restaurant just minutes later. She arrived in a police patrol car, still wearing her uniform, and calmly asked one of the survivors who had hidden in a freezer, "What happened here?" She pretended she had nothing to do with the murders. Her act didn't last long. Investigators quickly uncovered the truth. Antoinette Frank and Rogers Lacasse were arrested. In 1995, she was convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. To this day, Antoinette Renee Frank remains on death row at the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women. She is the only woman on Louisiana's death row. This case still haunts New Orleans. A police officer who swore to protect and serve, but instead became a killer. Drew Walter Peterson. Born January 5, 1954, he was a police sergeant in Bolingbrook, Illinois, a man who carried a badge and was supposed to protect people. But behind the uniform, Drew Peterson became one of the most infamous suspected wife killers in America. This is the disturbing story of how 2 women close to him vanished from his life. One found dead, the other never found at all. Drew was married to Kathleen Savio for several years. Their relationship was troubled and they divorced in 2003. Just months after the divorce, in March 2004, Kathleen was found dead in her bathtub. Her body was discovered by her sister. Kathleen had a large gash on her scalp and multiple bruises on her body. The scene looked suspicious, but the first autopsy ruled her death an accidental drowning. Drew Peterson was not charged at that time. Many people, including Kathleen's family, never believed it was an accident. They suspected Drew was involved. But without strong evidence, the case stayed closed for a while. While still married to Kathleen, Drew had already started a relationship with a much younger woman named Stacey Ann Kales. They married shortly after his divorce from Kathleen. On October 28, 2007, 23-year-old Stacey Peterson disappeared without a trace. She left behind her personal belongings, her car, and her 2 young children from a previous relationship. Stacey told friends and family before disappearing that she was scared of Drew and that if anything happened to her, he would be responsible. Despite massive searches, Stacey has never been found. Police and Stacey's family have always believed Drew was involved in her disappearance. Stacey's disappearance brought new attention to Kathleen Savio's death. In 2009, authorities ordered a second autopsy on Kathleen's body. This time, the evidence showed signs of a struggle and homicide. In 2012, Drew Peterson was put on trial for the murder of Kathleen Savio. A jury found him guilty. In February 2013, he was sentenced to 38 years in prison. Even from behind bars, Drew's story didn't end. In 2015, he was charged with trying to hire a hitman to kill the prosecutor who had put him away. He was convicted again and received an additional 40 years. Today, Drew Walter Peterson is serving a very long sentence in the federal prison system. Charles Joseph Joe Gliniewicz, a 52-year-old police lieutenant in Fox Lake, Illinois, known to many as G.I. Joe. A 30-year veteran, Army veteran, and respected figure in his community. But on September 1st, 2015, everything changed. That afternoon, Lieutenant Gliniewicz radioed that he was chasing 3 suspicious men on foot near a marshy area. Backup officers rushed to the scene. What they found was shocking. Gliniewicz was lying dead in the marsh with gunshot wounds. The community was devastated. A hero cop had been killed in the line of duty. A massive manhunt began for the 3 suspects. Hundreds of officers from multiple agencies searched the area. The story made national headlines. For weeks, people mourned him as a fallen hero. His funeral drew huge crowds in an 18-mile-long procession. But 2 months later, in November 2015, the Lake County Major Crime Task Force revealed the real story. After a thorough investigation, they concluded that Joe Glinovich had staged his own death to look like a murder. He had carefully arranged the scene, placing items to suggest a struggle, before shooting himself. Why? Investigators found that Glinovich had been embezzling money for at least 7 years from the Fox Lake Police Explorer program, a youth initiative meant to train young people interested in law enforcement. He was afraid his crimes were about to be exposed during an upcoming audit. What started as a national tragedy turned into one of the most unusual cases in recent policing history. A veteran officer who used his own death to try and hide years of theft. Joe Glinovich's actions not only betrayed the badge he wore, but also wasted massive public resources on a manhunt for suspects who never existed. Craig Allen Pyer, a 13-year veteran of the California Highway Patrol, a police officer sworn to protect the public. But in December 1986, he became one of the most shocking killers in California history. On December 27, 1986, 20-year-old Cara Evelyn Knott, a San Diego State University student, was driving home from her boyfriend's house in Escondido to her parents' home in El Cajon. She never made it. The next day, Cara's car was found abandoned on a dead-end road near the Mercy Road off-ramp from Interstate 15. Her body was discovered at the bottom of a 65-foot ravine nearby. Investigators soon focused on Craig Pyer. At his trial, shocking details emerged. Pyer had been targeting women along the interstate. He made predatory sexual advances on multiple female drivers during traffic stops. Cara Knott had the misfortune of being pulled over by him that night. Pyer was convicted of her murder in 1988 and sentenced to prison. A trusted highway patrol officer used his badge and uniform to prey on innocent drivers. And Cara Evelyn Knott paid with her life.